So looking at the big picture now, because he becomes a free agent at the end of this season, what does this mean for Ohtani's offseason?
It complicates it
a lot.
Yeah. So we were looking at, look, I don't know. We were looking somewhere between $600 and $700 million would be my guess. I still think Shohei Ohtani gets paid $500 million or more. You know, look, as a hitter, we just saw Aaron Judge get paid $350 million in the offseason, right? So Shohei, as long as he says he wants to pitch, is going to come back from this. So let's say you sign him long term. You're going to get him offensively at some point next year. And, you know, there's a world in which if this second opinion says you need Tommy John, you get it tomorrow.
Yeah, immediately.
I do not care about this Angels stretch of 10 games out and the odds. Spare me. Screw that. The Angels are done. They're canceled. They're done. Get your Tommy John surgery tomorrow and come back. And hey, August, September, October of next year, how cool would it be to see Shohei Ohtani coming in out of the bullpen, closing a game, or maybe back in being able to start in the rotation? So what does this mean for his offseason? It complicates it, but guess what? This was already going to be the most complicated contract signing in baseball history, and the most expensive for sure. But when you're getting a guy like Shohei and saying $700 million, what if he gets hurt? The value that Shohei brings to your organization, the second that he walks in the door, in jersey sales, in fans coming to watch you, in bringing an entire nation of Japan and them becoming a fan of your team because you have Shohei, and all the fans that are going to come watch your games, and the sellout crowds that are going to happen because Shohei Ohtani, the greatest baseball player of all time, is on your team. You're paying for a brand. You're not paying for exactly what he brings on the field, which is unprecedented, but you're paying for the person that has transformed the game of baseball forever. So I still envision a world in which he's getting paid over $500 million. I do.
Now, you mentioned, I don't care about the stats. I don't care if you find out this is what needs to happen, you do it right now. Does this affect his MVP odds?
No.
If he does stop?
No. Shohei Ohtani, if he doesn't play another game this year, is the most valuable player of the league. It's August 24th. There's just over a month left. Shohei is the MVP. And I do not see a world in which that changes. If this happened at the All-Star break, we could have that conversation. If it happened at the trade deadline, we would have been able to have a conversation there, and it would have been a more difficult one because you're already, 3/4 of the way through the year, but it's happening now with a month and a week left of the season. He's the MVP of the league. He's the most valuable player, and I don't think there's any question about that.
Do you think this whole situation will have an impact on teams allowing players, even Shohei Ohtani, whatever team he ends up on next, being a two-way player?
I think when it comes to other players, yes.
Okay.
But I think now that Shohei has proven himself, and Shohei can do what Shohei wants to do. Yeah. And Shohei is going to go where Shohei wants to go. And I think for other teams, Shohei's always talked about the blueprint. When I sat down with him for an hour for searching for Shohei, he talked about paving the way for others.
Yeah.
And he has done that. But I do think other organizations now are going to be a little weary of, the human body just isn't put together to be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
It just isn't. And he's been able to do it throughout his career, but this injury comes into play now, and I think it just validates what the other people have been saying. But those other people aren't Shohei. Whoever signs Shohei, it's going to be his decision ultimately. Yeah. And I do think wherever he signs, he'll be able to say, I want to pitch again. I'm going to pitch again. And let me do that because I'm Shohei Ohtani. But yeah, I do think it changes things. And this was the worry all along,
Yeah.
you know?
Can your body handle that?
You get a two-way guy in your organization. Yeah. Teams have drafted two-way guys as two-way guys before, but what they would do is, you know, 1 year into their minor league career, it's okay, you started struggling there, we're going to switch you and you're going to be full-time this so you can fully commit to that. And I think that will be, I think we'll see more teams veering away from two-way players just because of the fear of injury for sure.